Welcome and welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. It's an absolute pleasure today to welcome Paul Scholes back onto the channel. Big thanks to yourself for your hospitality here at Scholes' gym. And on that note, if there's anyone out there who's looking at getting fit in or around the Oldham area, I'll put some links in the description below the video. Male, female classes, all sorts of stuff here, don't you, Paul?
Yep, all sorts of stuff, as you said. Yeah, male, female classes. You can come on your own. You can come with people. It's there's no targeted group of people. It's for everyone. So yeah, it's going well at the minute.
Yeah, state of the art equipment. Take a look at it, and you won't be disappointed. Back onto the football, Paul.
Yep.
David De Gea, Marcus Rashford, they've been in the news this week over contract talks. How vital do you think it is for Manchester United to get them two tied down?
Yeah, I think it is very important. I think David over the last few years has shown, what a quality keeper. He probably hasn't had the greatest of form for a year or so, but I think now he's looking like a top class goalkeeper, and that he always was, I suppose. And it's up to the manager, really. I think the manager has a big part to play. I know in an ideal world, he like a keeper who can play out from the back. I don't think that's David's strength. I think David, which I think is the most important thing, is a great shot stopper, great, makes great saves and wins you a lot of points, really, which Michael did, Edwin van der Sar did back in the day. So, yeah, I think it's important they try and sign him. He's given us, what's he been there now, 10, 11 years maybe? Yeah. So, look, he's given us great service, and the fans love him, the crowd, I'm sure everyone, he's a great lad as well.
Do you think it'll also be pivotal as well with, like you mentioned there, the amount of years David De Gea's been at the club and Marcus Rashford, their influence in the dressing room, and it's something Ten Hag won't want to, miss?
No, I don't think he would. As you say, they've been around the place. They've been, David Moore's been around there when it's been a successful club. When you're going for league titles and winning league trophies. Marcus not so much because he's still quite young, but David will have a big influence in that dressing room. I'm sure of that. One of them leaders that's needed, really. We spoke the last couple of years about not having that many leaders, but now I think there's 3 or 4 in that dressing room now, which is good, and David is a big part of that. I would have thought.
Yeah, when you're looking at Marcus Rashford and David De Gea, if you used to put yourself into their shoes, would you have any doubts at all about signing a new contract? There's a lot of positivity on the pitch, Paul, off the pitch as well, with a potential sale of the club. Yeah. Would you have any doubts, or do you think you'd be signing that contract at Manchester United?
Yeah, I think it'd be signing. I think a couple of years ago it might have been different, even before Ten Hag came in, which is what he's not even been there a season yet. I think it could have possibly been different. You could have been Marcus if he went on this run of form. Then you'd be thinking, look, he might go somewhere else, and you couldn't really blame him because United didn't really look like they were close to challenging for a title. I know we're still a little bit away from that, but I think the signs there are very good. I think the manager's great. I'm sure these players all like the manager. There's no nonsense from him, and all of a sudden it looks like a team that are developing well and look like a team. Maybe 18 months, 2 years, that can possibly go on to challenge for the league.
Yeah, with you mentioning leaders before with David De Gea and Marcus Rashford. The captains of this season, more often than not, it's been Bruno Fernandes. What's been your thoughts of him, especially with his leadership skills this season, what you've seen?
Yeah, I think again, he's a big influence on the dressing room. He talks a lot on the pitch, which is what's probably needed. I know he has his moments where he can be a little bit stroppy, I suppose, and we saw that with the Liverpool game. But
Would that bother you, Paul?
No,
playing alongside him.
No, I think it's just part of his nature, and part of his culture where he's grown up. There are some bits that aren't likeable, I suppose, what he does sometimes. But I think on the main, I think he's been a great player for us as well. He scored a lot of goals, possibly not as many this year as usual, but he plays with risk, which is the most important thing as a midfield player. I thought it was brilliant when he played central midfield the other week, actually. I can't remember the game. It was a game, it might have been Betis.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant filling in for Eriksen, really. A very similar player. And now you have to think, I think he's a bit frustrated as well because he has been shoved out to the wide areas to accommodate other people in the team to try and do a defensive job more so for the team than his attacking. So I think there's a bit of frustration in that as well, but I think all in all he's been a great player for the club.
Yeah. Would you look at maybe making that a permanent decision at the end of the season, or would you look around the squad and maybe look at someone else, maybe a Casemiro who's just been made captain in Brazil?
Yeah, possibly. I think Bruno will be all right as a captain. I think he just needs to control his emotions a little bit. I think if he just calms down, because you think April April, May time when you're going for league titles, it's very important you're calm and relaxed. I'm not sure whether he's the right person who is going to be calm and relaxed. But if he can control them emotions, I think he'll be fine. But you mentioned Casemiro as well. I think everybody knows how good he's been. He's made a huge difference to this team, along with Eriksen in the middle of the pitch. And again, he's another possible captain. And we're talking about 3 or 4 possible captains now, where the last couple of years, you couldn't find one really. So look, things are improving, and hopefully we're on the up and coming back to where we should be.
Yeah, we were talking about Casemiro as well. He's out at the moment. He's going to be suspended for the next 3 games. Scott McTominay's been on goal-scoring form. Great performances for Scotland on international duty. Do you expect him to slot back in?
I do, yeah. Whether Eriksen's back as well, I don't think he's too far away, is it? But you would have thought with Casemiro being out, then Scott is the perfect choice to come in for him. As you say, he's done great. He'll come back with loads of confidence. And Scott's a really talented player. He's a really good player. He probably got tarnished a little bit with the old McTominay and Freddie midfield bit, which probably hasn't done him any favours. But he's not moaned about it. He's got on with his job, and he's a top class player, Scott. And I think if he just relaxes into that position where he knows he can be successful, it's a big few weeks for him now. People have been talking about him leaving the club as well.
Yeah.
But
a lot of rumours around Newcastle as well.
Yeah, a lot of rumours around Newcastle. I hope he does that. I hate seeing homegrown talent leaving the club, to be honest with you. But sometimes it has to happen. As I say, it's a big few weeks from now. If he can come into this team now and make it look as if Casemiro isn't missed, then hopefully next year he'll still be with us.
Do you think Scott's got that determination as well to knuckle down and learn off the likes of Eriksen and Casemiro, the older heads in the squad, to try and get that first team spot?
Well, he should do. If you've got them lads in the dressing room, Casemiro's done everything in the game. It's unbelievable what he's done in the game. So if you can't learn off them, you're struggling. But Scott looks like the type of person who'll be watching every day, be training with them every day, obviously, and taking little bits on board, which he needs to do to make himself a better player. But as I say, it's a big few weeks for him, and hopefully he comes through it well.
Yeah. Jadon Sancho, he's been looked after really well by Erik ten Hag earlier on in the season, giving that break over in Holland. He's come back, and for me and a lot of people out there on the channel, I don't think he's really hit the ground running with any consistency, Paul. Do you expect to see some consistency from now until the end of the season with Sancho?
It's very difficult when you're in and out of the team all the time. It's very difficult to find any consistency, any type of form. And look, I really like him. I think he's shown a lot of flashes of the talent we expected. Now, look, he's nowhere near what everyone thought we were going to get from Dortmund last year, but it might take a bit of time for him to settle down into the Premier League, the pace of it. And I think it's important his fitness. His fitness will get better once he starts playing games week in, week out. But
do you think, sorry to interrupt, Paul, do you think Ten Hag's sure of his actual best position? Because like you mentioned about Bruno before, he's been played in the middle, out on the left, out on the right. Do you think he's sure of his actual best position?
Probably not, no. And when you're not doing as well as you probably should be, it's hard to find. It's hard to know where your right position is. I think Jadon's actually played in the middle at times as well. As a number 10, I really don't see him in that position. I see him off the left-hand side, really. But as you say, Marcus has been in top quality form out there. I know he played on the right-hand side in Dortmund. That was brilliant. Yeah. And sometimes it's about the players you've got with you. I think the players at Dortmund suited him. He had a Hakimi who was flying down the wide outside with him. It was really quick. I know Jadon's not the quickest. He's quick enough, and he's got the ability and the skill and the cleverness of mind to link with players. He also linked with Haaland as a centre forward in that team as well. And I think it might be just taking him a bit of time to get used to players around him, but fingers crossed, starting from next year possibly, then we'll see a better Jadon Sancho.
Yeah. Garnacho at the moment, he's out injured. Hopefully he might come back towards the end of the season, the last couple of games or so. What do you expect with him going on in the future, Paul?
Yeah, I'm really excited about him. Whenever I see him, I'm impressed. I think there's a superstar in the making there. He's so brave, and he's brave in possession. He'll carry on, take people on. But very much in the way Cristiano was as a young player. He don't mind being kicked. He gets up, he goes for more. He looks like he can score goals. He's got a lot of growing to do, and once he gets a man's body, physical strength, then I don't think there's much stopping him. I know I think Bruno had a bit of a pop at him in one game about his attitude. Now that doesn't look a problem to me, and hopefully, if he sorts himself out, then I think we've got a top quality player on our hands.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there, especially on our channel, when we talk about Antony. There's a lot of mixed reviews. People are either on one side of the fence or the other with Antony. What's your overall thoughts on him? Because he's still a very young player adapting to the Premier League as well.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. He's come from a different country, and it's not always easy. You've seen Jadon Sancho, an English lad, struggle with it, really. But there's no doubt the lad's got talent. I think he's a little bit frustrating at times. He does things that are probably unnecessary at times, a little bit of showboating, and it's not really on. I'm all for a bit of showboating and entertaining as the old Trevor Crow want it, but there's times to do that. But then so you get disappointed. So he pops up with a goal from 25 yards. So look, again, it's been a bedding in period. I say he's so young, from Brazil and played in Holland for a couple of years or whatever it was. So I still think there's better to come from him, and I'm sure he'll be thinking that. I'm sure the manager will be thinking that as well.
Yeah, obviously massive news around the club as well, Paul, is the potential sale of the club. Your gut feeling, do you think we'll have new owners at the start of next season?
Do you know what? I don't know. I've absolutely no idea. Sometimes I think the Qataris are coming, then is it Sir Jim Ratcliffe, yeah, and then I'm thinking, will the Glazer actually sell it? We just don't know, do we? Until that deal is done, signed and delivered, then I just don't think anybody knows.
Yeah. Have you got a preference at all? Would you like just the full sale of the club, someone to take over?
Well, look, it was never something as a player or even as watching United now, it's never something I'm that bothered about. I'm really interested in what's going on the football pitch, and I have to say, whatever happens, the Glazers have put money. Well, we've always had the money to buy players. I think with the new owners as well, there's going to be they're saying there's going to be a lot more money to buy better players if we can improve the training ground and possibly the stadium as well. So, look, we don't know until something's signed, sealed, delivered. Then it's just too difficult to say.
Yeah, with you saying about huge investment possibly coming into the club, summer transfer windows approaching us, a lot of talk about Harry Kane, Victor Osimhen. But I remember listening to you the other night on BT Sport, and you're a big fan of Lautaro Martinez. Are you still a big fan?
Yeah, I'm not such a huge fan of him. I think he's more suited to what Ten Hag would want. I think you've seen with Vegas coming in, he wants someone who's going to work really hard. And this lad does work hard, and I think he's got quality with it as well. The trouble with the Harry Kane thing, look, we'd all love Harry Kane to come, of course we would, but I think Tottenham could just string you along till the very last day. We all know what Daniel Levy's like, and you could put all your eggs in one basket with Harry Kane, and then you get to the last day of the transfer window and end up with nothing. Yeah. So I think it's risky business. That either happens early or it doesn't happen at all. Martinez, I think he's suited to what Ten Hag wants. Osimhen, I'm not seeing loads of Osimhen. I know he scored goals in this, a lot of very good goals. He looks more of a Chelsea type centre forward to me, like a Drogba or what's the other, Diego Costa, one of them who can play up on his own. But again, he looks a quality player, and I think he'll score goals at any club he goes to. But I just think shooting wise to what this manager wants, I think Martinez would be more ideal than the other ones.
Yeah, just touching on Newcastle before we finish off, Paul. Eddie Howe, how much of a good job do you think he's done with Newcastle, especially this season?
Yeah, he's done well. Again, good group of players. I don't think they've spent massively. You expect him when they first came in to do what City did, go and spend it, bring all these stars, and I don't think he's done that. He's brought players in who play the way he wants to and play for the teammates and work for each other. I think it's a really tough game Sunday. I like some of their players. I like Gomes, Bruno Gomes? I think he's been fantastic this year. Whenever I've seen him, and it's going to be a tough place to go on Sunday. I think it has been the last few years for us as well. So, look, United got to be ready. They need to. It's not been great since they won the Carabao Cup, to be honest with the form. I know they've got through Europa League stuff and a couple of one really bad result in the league, but we won't mention. And again, the Southampton game, which was disappointing. A game you'd expect 3 points. So I think United have just got to be careful with that top four. They've got to make sure their heads on it in these league games and try and put the cup to one side for a bit and make sure they finish in that Champions League next year. Yeah, your expectations then going into the end of the season, do you think we'll definitely cement a top four place, maybe possibly win another trophy then? I'd like to think so. I am slightly worried, to be honest, with the Champions League players. With no Casemiro for 3 games as well. I think that he's a big miss. With Newcastle away is a tough game. Obviously, lose against Liverpool. Southampton are already dropping points. I think we'll just squeeze into the top 4 just about, but they've got to be careful. Look, it's all there for us in the other competitions, isn't it? Although we have got difficult games, Sevilla are a good team, and I think we've been knocked out by Spanish teams the last 5 years or something in the Europa League. We just beat Betis, which was good, and then you'll have Juventus or Sporting if we come through the Sevilla game, which is difficult. The semi-final, the FA Cup, Brighton, difficult. They're going really well, and then if you get through, it's going to be Manchester City, isn't it? So I hope we get that final. I'd love to have that final, a Manchester derby down at Wembley. I think if we can win one of those, I think it'd be. Well, it's been a good season. We've not won anything for a while. We look like the team's coming back. We won the Carabao Cup, so get to a couple more finals, and hopefully we can cement another couple of trophies.
Promise you. The last question now, Paul. Since post-Fergie, we've had some big high-profile managers in Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho. Do you get a different feeling about Erik ten Hag that we've actually finally got the manager we've wanted since Ferguson?
It feels like it, yeah. But the other ones, top-class manager, of course, what they've done in the game is ridiculous. But for one reason or another, it just didn't work out. It seems like this fella's coming in. He's had a couple of big things to deal with. Really, you think of the Ronaldo situation. I think he handled really well. And the team.
Captaincy as well with Harry Maguire shifting it over to Bruno.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a couple of things that he had to do, and he's not afraid of making big decisions. And I think that was something Sir Alex always did. He wasn't afraid of big decisions, and what he thinks right for the team, he will do. And I think you can see now that the team are playing for him. I think in the past, they've possibly been playing for themselves and do what they want to do. Now they're doing what the manager wants them to do, and if they don't, they know where the door is.
Yeah, I'm going to finish up there. Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you've enjoyed today's video, please smash a like on it. If you're not subscribed, think about subscribing for more content and press that notification bell because we will be back tomorrow with another video. Paul, absolute pleasure, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
No worries.